Earlier today, Dr. Ben Carson gave an impassioned speech at CPAC. Take a look.
We have got to get back to the same mentality that Americans had in the pre-revolutionary days. They got together with their friends and their neighbors and their associates, and they talked about what kind of America do we want to have? What do we want to pass on to our children? And they encouraged each other. And that's how a bunch of ragtag militiamen defeated the most powerful army in the world at that time. You need to go out and talk to people. Everybody you know. Have the discussion. Don't let the left shut you up. Everybody needs to talk about what we are doing and what we want to have as a nation. Encourage each other. People say, don't you miss medicine? Well, I miss what medicine used to be. I don't miss what it has become. But I do miss the patients. But the good thing is, I've operated on so many thousands of patients, there's virtually nowhere that I go that I don't get to see some of them. So it is actually a wonderful thing to be able to get involved in people's lives. The most important thing they have is their health care. And that is the reason that we need to fight to make sure that that stays in their hands and not in the hands of the government. What happens with Obamacare? We, the American people, have with that program shifted the power that was given to us by the Constitution and by the founders to the government. It's the most massive shift of power in America that has ever occurred. That's why we need to redo it. We need to put the power back in the hands of the people, and we need to make sure we keep it there.
With me now, Democratic strategist Joe Trippi and Republican strategist Tony Sayegh, both Fox News contributors. All right, good evening, gentlemen. Joe, I'll start with you. Dr. Carson compared conservatives to Revolutionary War heroes coming together to make America better. Should liberals be worried?
I mean, look, I think it was a great speech, and he obviously did well there. I think he shocked a lot of people with the strength that he had in terms of the straw vote. But I think it's way too early to be worried about him or his speech if you're on the Democratic side.
Well, Tony, you were down at CPAC this week. You know, there was a lot of talk about a lot of those speakers. I mean, and even for Joe to come out and say that it was a good speech by Dr. Carson is kind of interesting. And it seems that there were a lot of interesting things like Chris Christie being well received. But let me go to a more general question with you. Was there talk of CPAC not being conservative enough?
I think CPAC this year showed that conservatives are actually tired of losing. And something that Dr. Carson said that I think shocked a lot of people, especially toward the end of his speech. He said, look, in a primary situation, you call Republicans are fighting, you call each other rhinos and teabaggers, that's fine. Once that primary is over, support whoever won, because we're all beginning to realize, I believe, that in order to govern, you have to get elected. Now, Dr. Carson is strong and powerful, as Joe indicates, for a lot of reasons, not least among them, that he's the embodiment of the American dream that Democrats for the last 6 years have tried to convince the voters of this country no longer exists. He even said in his speech, I wasn't part of the 47%, I was in the lowest 1%. His rags to riches tale, the tale of American ingenuity and opportunity. He began his speech, Judge, by saying he's part of the American dream. This is the land of dreams and opportunity.
Okay, but my question, Tony, is, you know, apparently initially CPAC had invited the atheists to participate and a lot of, you know, with the conservatives, I mean, they're very hard line to the right. And it seems that with Chris Christie being invited there and John Cornyn and, you know, that there was some whispering in the audiences like this is too much. But you know what? I'll go to Joe. Dr. Carson said we need to fight Obamacare with the midterm elections coming up. Do you see Democrats distancing themselves from this controversial law?
Look, Democrats are who support it are talking about working to fix it. They know it's not popular.
I thought it didn't need fixing, Joe.
No, and they know it's going to be a problem. They know it's going to be a problem for Democrats in November. There's no denying that. But that's going to be one issue in one part of the spectrum. There's going to be other issues to talk about. I thought that Ben Carson, I thought the doctor actually put himself on the map in a way that I think a lot of people at CPAC there's a draft. There are people talking about drafting him, but didn't really think that he was necessarily interested. I think his speech today said he was, and I think he put himself on the map. I think there's tension on the Republican Party about pragmatism versus principle. That fight's been going on. It's cost them the Senate the last two cycles, their ability to win the Senate. May do it the same this year, or maybe they'll come together and get more pragmatic. We don't know yet. It's too early to tell.
Quickly, Tony, because we're going to break.
Look, I think we were at points this year divided, and we're realizing that our strength comes from the diversity of opinions. And that's what you saw, Judge, is that the party understands that we have to allow this big tent that Reagan even believed in.
All right, Joe, Tony, stick around. We're going to come back to you guys. But coming up, more from CPAC. Sarah Palin's speech brings the House down. Stay with us.